anybody who is feeling a sense of darkness, like you're being swallowed up in emotion, like you are sensing that it's getting indifferent, like you're sort of getting numb, let that be the alert. And even before then, that you take the power out of that by telling somebody. Your mind, your brain is not in a position of being capable of making a rational decision. It is looking through a clouded lens. It is processing through a lens that is incapacitated. It is inhibited. And the line of crossing that over to where it's a final decision is very, very, very thin. Very thin. Can happen in a matter of minutes. Can be just something that you don't even realize how close to that line you are. So do not hold yourself accountable by yourself, because you cannot. So I say this because I think people think that others will see signs. I'm going to tell you this right now. The world today, the way people are suffering, the anxiety, the depression rates, and also I'm going to be honest with you, just the overuse of, oh, I have anxiety, or I'm depressed, or I've been, it's so overly used that we have become desensitized to hearing those words from our fellow brothers and sisters. I always think it's really important to identify the words specifically as much as you can in terms of what you're feeling. I am sad. I am often sad. Or I am feeling very depressed. I feel sunken. I feel like there is no purpose for me to be here. I feel like there would be relief if I wasn't here anymore. I feel like my throat is closing in on me. My chest is closing in on me. And I'm worried and nervous that I'm not going to be able to stay in control if I don't have somebody who can help me. You have to speak out the words, my love. Do not wait for people to see the signs, because many people can show up for work. Everybody gets busy, or they've heard from a bunch of friends or all over social media. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody's depressed. Everybody, because we've gone from chronic conditions to labeling ourselves these things. And it's hard now to differentiate these things. So you might also be, everyone's busy. Everyone is, with everything skyrocketing price-wise, people are working multiple jobs. People are trying to raise children. And I say this with all love. I know you are wanting to be rescued, but you have to be specific and say the words. And now I want to talk to the people who are around people who might need this kind of support. Never be afraid to ask. You specifically say, have you ever thought about hurting yourself? And if you ever felt that way, you state it. You know why? Because I felt that way. You know why? Because I have been on the edge. I have been on that line. Or I may not know what that feels like, but I see something in you shift. I want to carry that space with you. You can't do it alone. You need to tell me what's going on inside. Let me help carry that with you. Let me help guide you, because you're not going to be able to see clearly. You can't even think clearly. And for the friends or people that say, like, they're nervous about intercepting. They don't want to say the wrong word. They don't want to ask, do you have a time and a place figured out? Have you ever thought about doing it? Are you thinking about doing it? Do not be shy about it, because let me tell you something. If your friend, your loved one was bleeding, had a knife in their heart, because that's what it feels like to them, that they are getting stabbed in their heart. Their heart is literally broken. They're isolated. They're desensitized. They're disassociated. They're isolating, emotional isolation. You could be in a family full of people or a bunch of friends. You could be at a church and feel the most isolated you have ever felt in your life. You could be smiling, your eyes glittering, and inside you're dying. So don't hold back. You trust your gut. You know what keeps you from acting in your gut? Your ego. You're afraid of being wrong or saying something embarrassing or putting someone on the spot. Intercept that mess. Be bold. Be courageous. Step into the person's life and say, hey, I know you're always doing well, but I'm sensing some things. I'm noticing these things. And it's okay. But I need you to talk it out. Don't tell me, oh, it's okay, you know, blah, blah. And then because you're uncomfortable, you just want to scurry on and move on the conversation. You sit in it with them. And if you can't do that, you help them find the right people to do that. You get them in contact. If they need to be back in relationship with people in their family, get the help support them until they can get that guidance, because people have to walk with them through that. Can't do it alone. Suicide has been in my family. And heavy, dark thoughts. That has been something that has permeated my family. And so I speak from experience. And this is what you say too. You let them know. If you ever feel like you are, that's it, like you are being swallowed, I do not care what time, what day, or where you think I am, or if you think I'm busy. You don't think. You don't think because you cannot. You are untapped from your rational mind and reason. So what I want you to do is you pick up the phone and you dial my number. Let me make sure it's in there. You dial my phone number. You just call me, you tell me where you're at, and I will come get you. And I have done that for people before. You have a second backup person, because God forbid that you're somewhere in a flight or something happens. There is a second backup person that you and I have clearly identified that you are going to call. Okay, so the next time you feel this way, because let's say you already found out that this is what the person's struggling with, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay. And it's not that you're treating them like a child, but if they were bleeding with a knife wound in them, or they were shot, or they were unconscious, they couldn't control their body because they can't control their mind, you would step in. You would not hesitate. You would literally not care who was watching, and you would jump right in. And that's how you have to think about it, because that's what's happening. It's happening to their emotions, their sense of sanity, their sense of identity, who they are, their association to their loved ones. And trust me, they are not doing this out of selfishness. When you lose all hope, if you hear somebody saying that they have no hope, that is a huge indicator. That is the indicator, because no hope equals final escape. When you have hope, there's pathways that you can explore to get better. But when you can see no hope left, that is the final escape. Is committing that act of suicide. So, the very first thing, while you are still in your reasonable mind, even if you're hurt, my love, is to create that plan. Get in touch with who you're going to get in touch with in your circle. Be honest with them about what you are experiencing. But I also need you to know that that's ownership that you need to take, because not everybody's they cannot be expected to pick up the signs. You're busy, you're going to school, you're working. To them, you're carrying on life like normal, right? They may not see that. They make them aware. And to those that are receiving that information or have an intuition that something is not right, you intercept. Take those steps. Be willing to confront. There's an amazing class where you could take it. I believe it's so complimentary, that tells you, suicide prevention classes, that tells you how to approach people, even a stranger, even a colleague. It does not have to be somebody that you regularly speak to. Use your humanity. Your heart is your most wisest organ in the human body. That intuitive wisdom comes from there. Trust it and move forward, and trust that you're doing the right things that you need to do. And if you're wrong, who cares? That's your ego. Who cares? Then you know what? You tell the person, now you know you're cared for. If I'm wrong, that's okay. And if you haven't been feeling that way, great. That's what I wanted to hear, and I'm happy to hear it. But I'm here to tell you that if and ever you do, you know me, you have my number, and you call me. Or if you ever want to talk, or let's put a plan together. And I hope that gives you a little bit more insight as to what it's like. And this world is hurting, and it's hurting more and more because people are so disconnected. We're not in a safe space. This cancel culture, this you can't just say, you're scared of saying anything. You're scared that if you admit something that all of a sudden everybody's going to hate you or judge you. It's horrible. We got to get back to empathy, compassion. And even when we're not on the same page in terms of our belief systems, let's be on the same page, just being human, just having grace for one another. I see it all the time when people literally get hurt on the street. No one cares about anything but running to that person to help. I've seen crazy stuff happen where people put themselves in front of a stranger to protect them. We need to get back to community, coming outside of our homes, connecting again, being with each other. That is the antidote, is pro-social relationships. And if you have a family, reach out to each other. Be there for the ones that are not present as much in your family. Pull them in. You might think that they're okay, but they're not, because they feel more isolated and alone. Especially those who are independent thinkers and have an independent spirit. Trust me, many times I'm talking to somebody and I'll say, no, really, how's your spirit? How is your spirit? Tell me really what's going on. And I don't say anything, and the tears come. I don't ask, how are you? How's your spirit these days? How's everything really going? And don't be on the phone. Look at the person. Connect so that they know that you're willing to receive what they're willing to tell you. Okay? So, I just wish for all of you the very best, from my heart to yours.